Comic Book Savant, episode 387. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant. I'm your host, James Harris. This episode is going to be a spoiler-filled review of the recently released 20th MCU movie that is Ant-Man and the Wasp. So if you haven't had a chance to see the movie yet, I would just suggest you stop the podcast now. Head over to youtube.com/comic book savant. Check out the non-spoiler review if you're still on the fence about seeing the movie. And then once you've seen the movie, come back and listen to this particular episode so you don't get anything from the movie spoiled for you. So that's your fair warning before we get into the content of this particular episode. So with all that being said, I'd like to first and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends over at the Comics Podcast Network. If you enjoy what I do here and you're looking for more comic book related content, take a moment to stop by the Comics Podcast Network over at comicspodcast.com. There are literally hundreds of different podcasts listed there based upon character, publisher, teams. You also have variety as a single person podcast like myself, as well as roundtable discussion podcast and the like. So you have a ton of variety that you can find there all on one page. It's constantly updated. So if you have a moment, stop by there and check that out if you're interested in finding related content about comic books. And last but not least, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor for this and every episode, which is InStockTrades.com. One of the best, if not the best place on the internet to go when you're looking for collected editions, omnibus, absolute editions, anime collections, special oversized issue editions. They sell it all over on InStockTrades.com. They also have discounts ranging from 35%, 42% up to 50% off. They also have a Deals of the Week feature on their homepage. Every week is updated where they spotlight a particular handful of books and they discount them to 50% off. So you can get great savings there. So definitely go to InStockTrades.com. If you're a U.S. customer, you place an order $50 or more, you get free shipping. That's only for U.S.-based customers, but if you happen to be an international listener and you're thinking about checking out InStockTrades.com, definitely still do that because they have some of the most competitive and lowest international shipping rates around, so you can still save yourself a ton of money. So I'd like to thank them for their continued support. And with all that out of the way, let's jump into this review of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Again, this is the 20th film release for the MCU at this point. Peyton Reed is back as the director on this film. The film is written by Chris McKenna, Eric Summers, Andrew, I hope I pronounced it correctly, Bear, Gabriel Ferrari, as well as Paul Rudd, were all credited as credited as writers on the film. So that's definitely a lot of writers. And the breakdown for the movie as follows: as Scott Lang balances being both a superhero and a father, Hope Van Dyne and Dr. Hank Pym present an urgent new mission that finds the Ant-Man fighting alongside the Wasp to uncover secrets from their past. And we have the cast of Paul Rudd back as Scott Lang, Michael Douglas back as Dr. Hank Pym, Angeline Lilly as Hope Van Dyne, Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Dyne, Hannah John Kamen as Ghost, Walton Goggins as Sonny Birch, Judy Greer back as Maggie Lang, Abby Ryder Fortson as Cassie Lang, Michael Pena back as Louise, David Dulcimchang as Kurt, T.I. back as Dave, Randall Park as Jimmy Woo, Lawrence Fishburne as Bill Foster, and we also had I forgot to write this down in the notes. The Jimmy IMDb. Hold on, let me pull it up on IMDb. For some reason, I forgot to put down his name. Oh, Bobby Cannavale. He's back as Paxton. For some reason, I totally left that off my notes. But he's back as well. So much of the cast is returning from the first movie, which is really good. So let me jump into this movie. Just off the bat, I don't know how many of you guys have checked out the YouTube channel to see the non-spoiler review. So I'll give my thoughts on the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I thought this was a fun, entertaining movie. I did have some problems. It's not without problems, and it's one of those things and it's movies in a weird spot because we're coming off stuff, a very heavy movie with Avengers, Infinity War, and this is definitely not nearly as serious as Dark. This movie was definitely positioned in the right spot. It was used to be a palate cleanser coming off such a heavy movie, which was good because it was refreshing. I really liked the first Ant-Man movie. This movie, I like and think is almost as fun, but I think the first Ant-Man movie overall is a better movie. I don't want to lead into a review, talking about some of the negative sides of it, but they're kind of glaring. But I think the overall feeling that I got from beginning to end and even walking out of the movie was that it's not my favorite MCU movie. I don't think if we're looking at now, we have 20 films. I don't even think it would be in my top 10 of MCU movies. It would be outside of that top 10, but fall somewhere in between. That bottom 20, that bottom 10 of the 20. And I don't know. I couldn't pinpoint. And a lot of times when I do the episode, I'll go through the rankings of my MCU movies, and it's just gotten to a point we have so many films. It's just really hard, and I don't know where I sit with this movie, where I would rank it. It's not the best. It's not. It's no Thor: The Dark World either. I'm not going to say it's the worst MCU movie. It's not by any means, but it's definitely certain things where it's certain things that all the bones were there. All the stuff was there, but it's certain things with the execution. And I'm not too familiar with Peyton Reed as far as a director and everything that he's worked on. So I'm not going to just be like, I'm going to blame it on, Peyton Reed, because I like the movie, and he's really, I like his vibe. I've seen a lot of interviews because, and getting ready for this movie coming out, I like to do a lot of research on, and I've seen a lot of him going around doing the whole marketing pass and stuff like that, and I don't think he's necessarily the problem as a director at all, because I liked the first movie, but I know story-wise it was a lot of things left from when what's his name, the Baby Driver director, Wright, when he left. Gosh, I'm being horrible this morning with my memory. But anyway, a lot of things, a lot of stuff that was left from Edgar Wright's, script, and those elements were incorporated into the movie. It was a rocky production that, Edgar Wright was attached to it for so long. Then, there was creative differences because the movie he was wanting to tell was different from what the MCU needed for it to fit into the bigger picture. So they parted ways. They brought in Peyton Reed, and he's admirable guy, but he's admirable guy. I really like him as a person. So I think it's less to do with him as a director, and I feel like more of the issue with the film and where I think it could have been a great movie and it just ends up being a okay or good movie is the script. You had so many different people working on the script. When you have that many people, in my experience of me paying attention to things like that, the movies that tend to have the most screenwriters, more than likely, most of the time, are some of the choppiest, or the script could have been better. But the bones were there. It was definitely good bones in that script. But I just feel like if executed differently, if they had a better script in place, this movie could have been a top MCU movie for sure. Because I felt like it was an entertaining, film, but overall it lacked real substance. because the elements were there. The cast, you had the talent there, and you had a good director. Because like I said, this movie is so fun, and it's like I walked out of it saying, okay, it wasn't the best movie, but I would buy this movie and watch it over and over again because it was so fun. And the elements that were going on, seeing characters that they made me care about these characters in this Ant-Man corner of the MCU so much. Luis, Kurt, Dave, the whole crew, even Hope, and now Janet and Hank, even though he's a butt, he's a prick, but you still care. He's a lovable prick, and that's a credit to the casting and the director that you care about. Cassie, I loved her so much. Abby Ryder Fortson really stole this movie. She stole my heart so much. Her chemistry with Paul Rudd to me is just amazing, and I thought Lawrence Fishburne might have been in one scene, but I was so pleasantly surprised to see that he played a bigger role in a plot, and could say maybe he was maybe a villain because how it kind of turned, but the twist of that whole situation was really good to me. I like that they did certain things differently. Like I said, if with a little bit more scripting there. But I saw an interview. I was just watching after I went to see the movie. I normally go to the movies. You guys, the reason why I do my review, I know a lot of people rush out to the movies on Thursday, and they'll go see a movie and they'll get the review out the Friday of. Excuse me. It's just not plausible for me, just because of I go to the movies with my wife. Me and my wife go. It's easier for me to go on a sometime I'll sneak and we'll go on a Friday if our schedules allow, but most of the time we make a date to go to the first showing Saturday morning to go see the movie. Then I can digest on it, start doing notes, and then normally on Monday or it's the Tuesday of our released episode, I could sit down after having some thoughts and seeing different interviews, because that more and more of the press is coming out, and I can get a better feel for what the actors their take on the roles, and I try to put all that together to give you guys the best reviews. So that's kind of what my workflow process is with my reviews, and I happen to see quite a few interviews. And, Peyton Reed even said that, his original cut, after everything was shot, his first draft or cut of the movie was a 2-hour and 46-minute movie. And I think he said then he, after making, after that first cut, he had a second cut. And he said that was about, I think he said it was, excuse me, I don't know what's going on in my throat this morning. It was 2 hours and 16 minutes or so. What was his what he said would be his director's cut of the movie was about 2 hours and 16 minutes, which is, I'm not mad at that at all, because I think that's about right for when you see the movie. I felt that felt about where the movie probably should have been after seeing it, and I felt if they fleshed out some more things, that it could have been that long, and I wouldn't have been bothered by it even in the least bit. I think that might have been, and that cut of the movie ultimately I would love to see, because I felt it clocked in just shy of 2 hours. So I hope when they release it on home video, I think the runtime I'm seeing here is 118 minutes. So if I got that 2 hour and 16 minute cut, I think it could have been such a much better movie. I don't know what deleted scenes that we'll have, and I try to avoid that stuff because I know I buy these movies on home video. A lot of times you'll see on YouTube and things like that, from the different interviews, people put together these videos and they spoil all the deleted scenes. And we've seen it now with the internet being the way it is. They pretty much release all the deleted scenes before the Blu-ray and DVD come out nowadays. I mean, I remember all of the ones were shown for Black Panther before it came out, which was, I hate that they're doing that more and more now, but I digress. I feel with that extra time, maybe certain elements that I felt that were cut short could have been, that maybe were fleshed out, but I guess when it comes out on home video and I get a chance to see the deleted scenes, we'll see. Was it a better movie with his longer run? But he said since it was a comedy and it's kind of like they focus on the action and the comedy and it being more of a heist and high energy movie, he feels like the cut of being like an hour and a half to 2 hours is more sufficient. Anything else might make the movie feel like it'll drag. And I felt like the thing was, it was, so much going on so quickly, it was nonstop, that it would have been nice to have those extra minutes in there because I think certain scenes where it needed a joke, it needed time to breathe and have a little bit of serious tones in there, just because of the setup in the relationships that we've seen from the first movie and the development of the characters. And I felt like that breakneck pacing kind of hurt certain parts of the movie from it being the best overall movie it could be. Another thing that I had an issue with, I felt like worked against the movie, it still had a big opening. It still opened up to 74, 75 million domestically, which is good. So I think it was 75 million, which it exceeded what the first Ant-Man opened at, which was somewhere around 54. So it made 20 million more from the opening, which is good. But, it wasn't, some people thought coming off of Infinity War, this was going to make 100 or 125 million. It's, still at the end of the day, it's still the Ant-Man character. He's not the wildly popular character Iron Man or Captain America is. It's not going to make that kind of money. So, I felt like that was kind of over people, thinking that the hangover of Infinity War just would make people that aren't interested in this character go flock to see this movie. And he's not a household name. I think what we saw in this movie, that this section of the universe, which was started off totally separate and was a very personal first movie, and even this movie was, but when we get towards the ending of the film in the quantum realm, and we've heard the word, quantum thrown around so much, we know Captain Marvel powers derived from quantum energy. We have the quantum realm. We have quantum particles. That word is being thrown around quite a bit. And I think going forward, even in Avengers 4, after seeing the first end credit scene, that Ant-Man's going to play a large role in Avengers 4. And going forward, the quantum realm is going to also play a huge part in the Marvel cinematic universe. For me, it definitely seems like it's leaning towards that way, which is cool, because I want to see these characters expanded. I don't know where they go in the next film. Do we get a third Ant-Man movie? They threw a lot of things out there, with Ghost. Ghost wasn't really the villain that she was advertised to be, which was a pleasant surprise. I really liked Hannah John Kamen take on Ghost. She really made her ambiguous, and they made her a very sympathetic character, and she was more of an anti-hero, I feel like, than a villain by any means, because all the bad things she did, she was doing in getting a means to try to survive, because she was slowly dying and she was in constant pain of her condition caused her immense pain. So what she was trying to do was just doing what she needed to survive, and everybody used it against her. Well, not everyone, because Bill didn't use it against her, but S.H.I.E.L.D. used it to then exploit her as a weapon. So she was I liked that take on the character, and she brought a certain personality. I like the fact that you got a feeling that Ghost kind of or Ava, I think her real name was Ava, in the film, that she immediately thought Scott was charming, and you can kind of see that she was kind of attracted to him, because she's like, I would never hurt you unless you get in my way. That was her big thing, and she smiled. She's like, I really like you. And I like those different takes and that nuance in her performance. So I just think overall, one of the other major problems is it's not a real villain. We have, the Walter Goggins character, Sonny Birch. He was always on the phone, and you knew he was tied to or connected to somebody else that he was dealing with, that he was kind of the front man for, but it's never revealed throughout the movie at all, which I think would be kind of cool, but it's more pressing things. I think maybe that might come back a little later. It would be cool to see that because he was saying it was some organization, and because he was dealing in this black market technology, it made me immediately think coming out of the movie, it was like, I wonder maybe he was talking to someone maybe in AIM. What is it? Applied Advanced Intelligence or Machine or something like that. Gosh, I should have looked that up. But I thought it was AIM. A.I.M. in the comic books. So I thought that would be cool because Hydra, like they said, Hydra's pretty much off the board at this point in the MCU. So they need another kind of evil corporation linked to it, and since they already started down that road in the first Ant-Man with the different different entities, and they tied that back into Hydra, which I thought was cool. It would be even better to kind of see what they would do with it with another entity. I feel like they kind of need that kind of lingering around, but it'll be interesting to see what if they're going to go back and pick that plot thread up, because it definitely looked like it was something left on the table with that Sonny Birch character. But I felt like they could have done without him being in the movie, just with some small adjustments, that it could have been fine. He didn't have any, and it's bad because he's such a great actor. To see him kind of wasted away. I mean, he played a similar role as a villain in the Tomb Raider movie that came out earlier in the year, and it's just like, why are they wasting such a great actor? Okay, here it is. Advanced Idea Mechanics. It would be cool because it's technology. It seems like it would fall under AIM's purview, and since they lean heavily on Hydra, I'm trying to see through the television shows as well. I know in Agent Carter, they threw the Roxxon Corporation out there, and was it the first or second season of Agent Peggy Carter? I want to say maybe it was season 1 that they threw the Roxxon Corporation. So they're not they're not standoffish about using, digging deep in the comics and using those kind of things. And it just seems like in this world that they've set up in the films for Ant-Man, that would be who this made logical sense to me as in watching the movie. And he said, I have partners and they deal in black market technology, so, and they're more the mechanics, they more deal on the technology side. They were always that more techie faction as far as corporate faction. The Secret Empire kind of delved in it too, so it could be like either one of those, and I would be cool with it. But immediately in my head, when he said what the setup was and it was black market technology, it immediately was like, maybe he's working for AIM. It just like popped in my head, and I'm like, and I thought about it, and I was like, that would be kind of cool. And because they said, now with Hydra off the board, he had to find new people to work with. And they're very dangerous people, and they want in, and they were focused on this technology and energy. So the Roxxon Corporation or AIM would definitely be kind of cool if we find out later in a later film that, and they can be set up as a medium level big bad, not Avengers level per se if you're talking about AIM, but for some of these mid heroes or lower end heroes, it could be a definitely big bad that they could be going up against through multiple movies, and it could be some kind of build up to it. I think it works perfectly for the Ant-Man, character for sure. I thought another problem that I had, and this really bothered me, I didn't hear a lot of people, and I looked at different things that I read and I watched about reviews and people's thoughts on the film. I felt like they dumbed down, and maybe you guys will agree or disagree with me, I felt like that they dumbed down Scott's character tremendously in this movie compared to the first movie. I mean, we do know he's an electronic engineer, and he made modifications to Hank's suit and even made it better, and was able, because of how smart he was able to fix the regulator and to come back out of the quantum realm when he got trapped there in the first movie. So I thought like they really made him dumbed down to the expense of trying to make Hank and Hope look really smart, and it bothered me because I feel like Paul Rudd has put so much into the character, and he's so charming. But I don't want. Yeah, he could be a bumbling hero because it's not his first nature. He's not like that athlete like a Cap was after he got hit with the super soldier serum and things of that nature of other characters. So yeah, he could still be comedic and kind of the bumbling hero, but like when it comes to other things, he's still intelligent. Of course he's not on the level of smarts of Hank or Hope or even Janet, but he's still no slouch either. And I felt like they hurt the progression of his character arc by dumbing him down and only to kind of have him. He's always like 10 steps behind all the other person. Like he's always the dumbest person in the room. And I mean, and I felt like they accentuated it more here and just took away any smarts we gathered from him or got to know of him in the first movie, in the second movie, and I really, really didn't like that. Also, what I wanted to say earlier, and I kind of got sidetracked with some of the other stuff, is that the marketing I felt like for the movie was the worst because they pretty much showed the whole movie in the trailers. And this is the funny thing about it. Like I literally avoided as many TV spots coming into because I knew I was going to see it. I was already sold. I liked the first movie. I wanted to see the second one. So I avoided a lot of TV spots, but I had already seen all the big action pieces. It was no big action set pieces or anything like that we did not see in some TV spot or trailer for the movie. So it was kind of, I had kind of got spoiled by like Homecoming really didn't show too much from the movie. It showed certain things, but it was still a lot in that we hadn't seen. Even Infinity War, we saw very little of that movie, so it was good. It made for a really good experience. Here, I just felt like this was Avengers Age of Ultron all over again. That when I was actually watching the movie, because I had seen so many TV spots and trailers, that I knew while watching the movie, it just felt like deja vu. It was like I've already seen this movie because the trailers have shown me, and the TV spots have shown me the whole movie. So it was disappointing. So I still had fun in that world, and and everything was so fast paced. So I still enjoyed the movie, but I felt like that hurt because they showed everything. So it was nothing left to the imagination. It was just the process of sitting down, watching the movie, and seeing how all the different snippets we saw came together to form the movie. Just filled in the blanks. I felt like it was like a fill in the blank section, kind of watching the actual finished movie. I feel like certain story beats the writers dropped the ball on in the movie. Fleshing out what really happened between Scott and Hope. Like at the ending of the first movie, we saw them kissing. We didn't, and see, you could tell it's tension between them, but we don't necessarily know why until we get like an exposition dump scene with Luis doing his thing we love seeing that he did in the first movie, and seeing the characters like reenacted, and we kind of get it in that kind of brief kind of recap, but it felt like it was just exposition dump, and I would have rather seen those. You could have took that same time and utilized it differently to kind of just show that as in flashbacks and whatnot of us actually seeing that interaction with him, because it just felt like she was so cold to him and then she was so warm to him, and it was like it was all kind of left between the panels, so to speak, and it was left to our imagination outside of that one dump scene that we got from Luis. Excuse me. Despite the problems that I had with the movie, I definitely want to see, what happens to Bill and what happened to Ava or Ghost. We saw when they were going in the quantum realm and the after credit scene, they were going to get more of the quantum particles to help Ghost. They mentioned that, hey, where these particles can help heal our ghostly friend. So definitely she's still out there with Bill. He decided that he was going to stay with her and help her despite the bad things she had done previously. And I would love to see her character more in the future. And Bill, I'm very interested in where that might go in the future. I felt like they didn't do the best job. Though she was spotlighted and she was great in all the action scenes, I felt like at times Hope Van Dyne as a character and Angeline Lilly, I like her. I love her in that role. I just felt like the writing was so uneven with her character. Her character felt all over the place at times, and I felt like they should have gotten into her head more to flesh out what her issues were when it came to Scott. It just seemed like she went to 0 to 100 with her father, where she was hating him most of the whole first movie to the very end. Yeah, he revealed certain stuff, and then she's like, she was so protective over him, and we didn't see any of that on screen. It was all left in between the panels, that things that we didn't see that happened between the first movie and the second movie. I know 2 years had passed, but it could have been more flashbacks, just little things that could have shown or gotten to her head more, so we could relate to her as a fully realized three-dimensional character. I hope, hopefully as we see her more, they'll flesh her character out more and better in future installments or in future movies. I think one of the last things that I felt like that was a flaw with the movie, like I said earlier, we don't really have a real villain, because Ghost is not the villain in this movie. She's more of an anti-hero. She definitely does things that impede the progress of our heroes in the movie, but again, it's totally justified because she's trying to survive, and she will, because of the added fact that she's in such, terrible pain, that she's willing to, do what she needs to do to survive, no matter what the cost, because it's her life on the line, which is understandable. So they made her very relatable. Similar to what they did with the Vulture, similar to what they're doing, what they did with the Vulture Killmonger, even with Thanos, where it's definitely, it's not just black and white, it's definitely gray in the middle there as well, which I like that they're thinking a little bit more with their villains, but they still, I felt like, should have had a more upfront viable threat that was just bad, and their reasoning was bad and flawed. Hers wasn't. It was for, survival is important to everyone. So, again, it will be interesting to see certain elements in this movie. I think this was a good transitional movie, and elements that were introduced in this movie will build further for this universe, this pocket in the Ant-Man universe, as well as the MCU overall, especially with the quantum realm. I think it's going to be really big going forward into this phase 4, for sure. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp are going to be in the center of a lot of stuff that's going to be going on. So my rating scale, I normally break down on 5 areas: acting, casting, direction, special effects, and story. I give the acting an 8 out of 10. I give the casting an 8 out of 10. The direction, I gave a 7 out of 10. Special effects, I gave a 9 out of 10. They really did great stuff with the de-aging and the small, and how they played with the small and the enlarging and the miniaturization. They did great jobs with that. I think the biggest flaw in the movie, and the thing that hurt it the most, was the story, because it just was all over the place. And like I said, it was a lot of flash with and the action scenes were great, and they were very inventive and really were tailor-made to this hero and this heroine. But as far as the fleshing out of all the characters and the developing them to the best of their ability, they did a good job with certain characters, and then other ones not so much. And I felt like Walter Goggins and Michelle Pfeiffer were totally underutilized characters. I thought she would have been. What I thought I am for Lawrence Fishburne as Bill Foster. I thought he was going to be in the movie just for a scene or two, but it ended up being Michelle Pfeiffer's character that really didn't have a lot of screen time in the movie, and it was shocking because she's such a vital character to the whole narrative that she really wasn't on camera long at all. So I hope they fix that in the future, because one character, they did a really good job in building out Hank's character and some of his backstories, and to see that, yes, he was hard to work with, he was a prick to a lot of people, and it was repercussions of that in this movie that, Ava's father, because he fired and discredited him, went on to keep working on this quantum tunnel, and it ended up costing him his life and his wife's life, as well as causing Ava to have this condition. And if Hank wasn't such an egomaniac that he could have stayed on the project and none of those things would have happened. So I felt like those certain aspects of the script and characters they nailed, but then other ones fell flat. And you got to have that more evenly dispersed throughout. So I felt like the story was the weakest part of the whole film. To give it an overall score, it comes up to a 7.5 out of 10 for me. It's a good movie. I still think overall, because I gave the first movie like an 8 or 8.25. Still the first movie is the better overall story for me. Still a really fun movie, and I highly recommend you to go see it. I know as soon as it comes out on home video, I'm going to get it because I just loved it. I thought it was a charming movie. I just don't think it's in the top echelon of the MCU movies, but I felt like if the script was tweaked a little bit better than it had all the potential to be, though. I do really feel that in my heart of hearts that this movie had the potential to be a great movie, but just the script failed it. Excuse me. With all that being said, that's all I have for this spoiler review for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Check out the YouTube channel if you haven't already. It's youtube.com/comic book savant. I'm dropping 2 videos there a week as I'm trying to do 2 episodes on the podcast a week. So I'm grinding, it's rise and grind, and I'm trying to get it done for you guys. And I'm having a ton of fun, and you guys' response and support has been amazing. Also, don't forget to stop by the website, comicbooksavant.com. If you miss anything anywhere else, there's always the centralized location to get all my content is the website. So if you ever forget anything, it's comicbooksavant.com. Links to everything. Social media is there. The YouTube channel links are there. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, on iTunes or Google Play, all those links, everything is there that you can find. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, you can do that also. The links are there. I have a support page, and it has links to all the different things there. As well, the Facebook discussion group. I want to grow the community out more and more. So if you have a moment, click on the Facebook group, join it. Do you just request to join? I approve it, or one of the admin will get you in there. We just love talking about comics, and I talk about things that I'm planning on doing on the show upcoming. So trying to build that community out. So, if you have time, stop by, check all that stuff out, comicbooksavant.com. You'll find it all. That's all I have for you guys. Also, one link that I added on there, and I talked about it, I think, in one of the previous episodes. I also have a recommendations page. It's called The Bookshelf. It's on the website, and then I have affiliate links there because I'm trying to help, grow the show. So if you want to help support the show, I have a page where my recommendations for comic books themselves, trades, movies, all that you can find there. And if you take a moment and you click on the link and it takes you into Amazon, I get a little kickback. It's like 3 or 5% or something like that of anything you buy when you click on the link. So that goes in to help supporting the show. So that's one way indirectly, and you still getting great merchandise that you can help support the show. So if you check out the website and you click on that, please do so. It will greatly help the show. You're not required to do any of that, but any little thing that you can do like that helps support the show goes a long way to keep me keeping on. So it's very important. If you can support by spreading the word, sharing the information, it goes a long way. But that's all I have for you for this episode of Comic Book Savant. I'm going to try to get out another episode this week. I'm not sure. I've been prepping because I'm going to be off next week on my 8th wedding anniversary with my wife, so I'm going to be gone, but I'm going to have content ready for you guys for next week. So I don't know will it hamper putting out another episode this week or not. I'm going to try my best to, but if not, you'll definitely have more content coming next week, and it'll still be 2 videos uploaded this week on the YouTube channel for sure. And it should be 2 videos next week on the YouTube channel while I'm gone. And you'll either have 3 more episodes from me for this week and next week, or 2. I'm working on it, trying to figure it all out. But I will catch you guys later. Have a good week, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.